most of you who listen to Miss Annie Burdack must have come to the conclusion that the yoga Vivekananda taught in America is not the physical exercise system that's getting popular, more and more popular all over the United States. If you really want to know what yoga actually signifies, you can just think of what happened when Vivekananda addressed the audience on September 11 in 1893, which perhaps Ms. Badak had already referred to. When Vivekananda addressed the audience, sisters and brothers of America, 6,000 people stood up clapping their hands because they felt that this man really means what he is talking about. Yoga takes us to that higher transcendental universal wisdom which enables us to feel the presence of the whole universe within us and our own presence in the entire universe. This unity, this harmony, this idea of spiritual, universal spiritual humanism is the essence of yoga. You can never imagine somebody who is an expert on standing on his head becoming a center of attraction to 6,000 people who spontaneously respond to him, accepting him as theirs when they listen to a totally strange religious idea, religious philosophy from him. So yoga in reality means the higher transcendental wisdom which enables us to feel the entire universe is one with us and we are with the entire creation. A kind of spiritual unity. And Vivekananda once said, the infinite oneness of the soul is the eternal sanction of all morality, all ethics, all good actions. The fundamental principle of universal ethics is the unity of creation. We are all one single spiritual family. And this reality could be achieved through meditation. And as we realize, and that's the transcendental universal reality, which is called Atman in Sanskrit language, or consciousness in English, is the inner resident within us, the immanent reality within all of us. We also realize that the same reality is the all-pervading, omnipresent reality. So there is a kind of twofold development. As we turn inward, it becomes an inner pilgrimage. And we realize that we are something beyond this psychophysical mechanism which comes and goes. We are the eternal, the transcendental, the universal reality, consciousness within, and the same consciousness is the all-pervading reality everywhere. Now, how do we respond to this truth? How do we become conscious of this truth? When you live in this world, when we get some setbacks or unpleasant events, we sometimes stop for a moment, move away from this flow of instinctive evolution and ask the question, who am I? What's the meaning of life? And what is the origin of the universe? What is the true significance of the mystery of human existence? This is possible only for human beings. In fact, the ability to ask this question and pursue this question in search of an answer is the one line of demarcation between the animal kingdom and human beings. An animal can never do that. Vivekananda once refers to this unique characteristic of human beings. See, you have to imagine a railway track, a small insect sitting on the railway track. and a huge locomotive coming from a distance. Now, this locomotive is millions of times stronger, bigger, and faster than this insect. The insect has the freedom to move away from the track. It can save its life by crawling away from the track. But the locomotive itself cannot do that. It has to borrow an intelligence from another external being. The driver has to apply the brake, then only the locomotive can come to a stop. It cannot change its own direction. But a crawling worm or insect can change its own direction. So Swamiji says in one context, yoga is the conscious effort to take our level of evolution to a higher level. Human beings cannot evolve further. Physical evolution has come to an end, but there is infinite scope for evolution at a higher level. We can become more cultured, more humane, more universal, more broad-minded, and more spiritual. Remember, Swami Vivekananda made a clear distinction between religion and spirituality. Religion is something secondary, but spirituality is universal. One can be spiritual without being religious. Spirituality is universal, it is harmonious, and it is universal. So when we ask the question, who am I? What's the origin of the universe? What's the true meaning of human existence? Then we start evolving further. At the philosophical level, we get an Aristotle, a Plato, but they live only in our intellect. Maybe at the grossest physical level, you may get an Alexander the Great or a Napoleon, but they are forgotten the day they die. But a Jesus or a Buddha or Vivekananda continue to live, and their stature grows higher and higher in course of time. And they continue living in the memories of millions of people, inspiring millions, teaching millions, and guiding the humanity to walk along the path of compassion, love, and spirituality. And it is this which actually distinguishes the popular yoga as a physical exercise and the yoga Vivekananda taught here. That yoga is the yoga philosophy of Bhagavad Gita and not the yoga exercise program which is based on Patanjali's yoga philosophy. I will come to this subject in course of time during the interaction if there is a chance. Now, if we try to turn this inquiry at the material level, we will be able to go to the galaxies, we will be able to explore the planets, the distant planets, we may be able to split the atom. And this ability can give us enormous power and knowledge. But this knowledge and power can turn us into monsters if it is not accompanied by wisdom. And wisdom is something which science and technology can never give. Wisdom is possible only through spiritual practice. And that spiritual practice is the means indicated by the yoga and also the goal. So yoga is the means and also the end. That's how the ancient Sanskrit books like Upanishads, Bhagavad Gita, and the later exponents of these books like Shankaracharya and Vivekananda expounded these aspects. So, wisdom is that which demarcates the human beings from the animal kingdom. I can just give an idea of what this really means. There is an interesting dialogue between Crito and Socrates. Socrates was sentenced to death. He was in his prison. Crito was an old friend of his, went to the prison, and he puts a question to Socrates. How shall we bury you? Then Socrates answered, well, he put a counter, he said, But you should first catch the real me. As to body, I am not different from other human beings. You can do with my body what you normally do with human bodies. You can bury it. Socrates implied there is something beyond this body. So it is said that even during the 3rd or 4th or 5th century BC, even before Thales, the 7th century Greek philosopher, before he started teaching, the ancient wisdom of yoga had already reached Greece. And before the Greece defeated the Persians, this yogic wisdom was already popular in the ancient Persian Empire. Now, this yoga is the means to freedom. The freedom which enables us to look upon the entire humanity as one spiritual family. Now, there is an ancient Sanskrit sloka, which I am not going to quote here. If you want, you can quote. Sarva bhudeshu ye pasyet bhagavat bhavam atmanaha bhudani bhagavadi atmani esha bhagavadottamaha. I shall give the translation. The verse says this much. The real yogi and devotee of God experiences, not just believes in, experiences his own presence in the entire creation. And he experiences the whole creation within him. And he looks upon the happiness and joy of the whole creation as his own happiness and joy. He has no joy, no happiness, no contentment other than the joy, happiness and contentment of the rest of the world. It is this spiritual realization that Vivekananda actually taught in America. So he said the ultimate aim of spirituality, defined as yoga, is the manifestation of divinity already in man. It's kind of spiritual humanism. Now, the special characteristic of this spiritual humanism is that it doesn't control walls of a temple or a place of worship, a priest or a holy book, or a set of conventions and traditions. Swami Vivekananda says one can be spiritual without being religious. Because spirituality is essentially universal humanism, which when we realize at the inner level, it makes us conscious that we are beyond this body, beyond this mind, beyond this intellect. These things are not negated, but behind all this, there is an eternal consciousness which enables us to live in this world and to live intelligently and to experience the spiritual wisdom. And simultaneously, we also realize, as we realize the immanent reality within, we also realize that the same immanent reality is the omnipresent reality and the transcendental reality which encompasses the entire creation. That makes us more broad-minded. That makes us more humane. That makes us more compassionate. So, Swami Vivekananda's and most radical contribution was that he spoke about a religion which goes far beyond the conventional accepted ramifications or implications of religion. It is universal spirituality which we can only experience, which cannot be defined. A real spiritual experience, intuitive experience, can never be defined, can never be explained. In fact, one important characteristic of all the great classical Sanskrit works expounding the philosophy of yoga and Vedanta is this. The reality is beyond books. These books only enable us to move our mind away from non-spiritual sensory pleasures. And it turns our mind away from them. But then the reality is something that we have to experience within ourselves. So the idea that spirituality or religion go far beyond belief and convictions and conventions. Rituals, conventions and beliefs may be necessary, but they do not constitute the whole of spirituality. Real spirituality goes beyond rituals, convictions and beliefs. So in that respect, Jesus was a yogi. He was not a Hindu. Buddha was a yogi. Of course, he was, born as a Hindu. So all the great personalities in the world, whether a great philosopher like Socrates and Aristotle, or a great thinker like Immanuel Kant, or a great mystic like Meister Eckhart, or great spiritual teachers, they all spoke about this transcendental wisdom. So the yoga and Vedanta of the Hindus, dharma and nirvana ideals of the Buddhists, the non-violence ideas of the Jains, and the ideal of total surrender to the will of God found in Islam, the path, the way in Tao religion, and the belief that everything in this world contains the essence of spirituality, which is very popular in Shinto religious tradition. The sturdy monotheism of the Sikhs. In all these ideas, you find a peep, a glimpse into the mystery of yoga. So, a great painter, a great artist, a great poet, when he goes beyond the present, beyond the empirical, beyond the phenomenal, beyond the visible and beyond the tangible, whenever they speak about something transcendental, not necessarily religious, this should be understood very clearly. Swami Vivekananda did not confine all these to religions or belief systems. So any such attempt is a peep, a glimpse into yoga. All these constitute diverse manifestations of yoga. When we turn this yogic concentration to the external world, then nature is forced to open its doors. Nature is forced to reveal secrets, and Newton and Einstein are born. And when the same concentration, the same yogic concentration is turned inward, then we get a Jesus, a Buddha, or a Socrates, or a Vivekananda. So Swamiji's greatest contribution was that he expounded a yoga which is spirituality, which is rooted on spirituality. It doesn't go against religion, but it goes beyond all religions. The universal spiritual humanism, the universal spiritual ideal. And not only that, Swamiji said, yoga enables you to speed up our evolution. As I said earlier, evolution at the physical level has come to an end. But there is still evolution possible at a higher level. In fact, that's the main difference between great spiritual personalities and ordinary people. In one of his famous statements, Vivekananda says, the manifestation of this yoga, this transcendental wisdom, is the explanation for the diversity of human or non-human characteristics. He says, the difference between an amoeba and a Buddha is one of degrees, not of kind. See, in a Buddha means the enlightened one. That's the English equivalent of the Sanskrit word Buddha, the enlightened one. So in Buddha you find this wisdom in its full splendor. In amoeba you find in its most primitive form. So by turning our inquiry inward, by leading a pure life, by realizing the immanent, omnipresent, transcendental reality which is present everywhere, by looking upon entire humanity, creation, not only human beings, the whole creation as one spiritual family, one can realize this yoga. That explains the mystery of 6,000 people standing on their head, standing and responding to Swami Vivekananda. There's a big applause because they found here is a person who experiences transcendental, universal human unity. In this unity, this harmony, and this transcendental vision, which are the essential characteristics of yoga, which Vivekananda preached in America. Now, Just in a few more minutes, I shall conclude. Vivekananda says that this yoga can be practiced by people of various temperaments. Those who are of an active type, those who are more work-oriented, can practice this yoga through detached, unselfish work. Any work that you do in a most unselfish manner, it gives you a lift in spiritual life. Any unselfish act. So if we can do our duty and responsibility in a most unselfish manner, every work becomes a worship. The whole world becomes a temple. Whole human existence becomes a spiritual practice. Because the entire creation could be looked upon as one spiritual family. And he called it karma yoga. People who are of an active temperament, who are more or less involved in various activities, can turn their active nature, their workaholism, they can sublimate their workaholism to a higher level by turning that into karma yoga, by practicing their duties and responsibilities, by performing their duties without selfish motive, without selfish desire, detached or non-attached work. Every work becomes a worship. In fact, I give a glimpse into its true psychological implication. Once, C.F. Andrews, one of Mahatma Gandhi's friends, disciples, asked him, Gandhi, you are working 20 hours of the day. Why don't you go on a vacation, holiday? Gandhi said, who is working? Gandhi never felt he was doing anything. He was a karma yogi and he was also a devotee of God. So when he was shot 3 times, he didn't cry or weep. He was doing everything in the name of God, that God's name came out when he was breathing his last. So for a Gandhi, every work, every physical, intellectual, psychological movement, endeavor was a worship. The whole world was temple for him. The entire humanity was God for him. This is possible for people who are more of a devotional temperament. Believe in an old bearded man sitting above the clouds, creating the world on a particular day, and dividing humanity into conflicting groups of believers and non-believers, rewarding the believers with heaven and condemning the non-believers to hell, that won't make you a yogi. But the belief in a God who is present everywhere, who opens his doors and windows even to non-believers, atheists, that belief can make you a real yogi. Because if God doesn't depend upon our acceptance or rejection, if God is so miserable that he cannot exist without our recognition, then it doesn't say very highly of God's omniscience or omnipresence. So the real God, the real consciousness, Atman, which is the immanent reality residing in every being, and which is also the omnipresent, all-pervading reality, the transcendental reality, that reality can be approached even by people who don't accept him, agnostics and also atheists. By leading a pure inner and external life, one can be a yogi, one can be a devotee of that real absolute principle, which we call consciousness. That is also God. Vivekananda accepted all religious ideas. He said, we are not traveling from error to truth, but to truth that's lower, to truth that's higher. So there is no false religion in this world. Every religion is right. If a devotee is sincere, honest, pure, he has a place in God's empire. The third yoga which Vivekananda talked about is Jnana Yoga, the path of knowledge. This is possible for anybody who is of an intellectual temper. people who don't believe in a creator God, or people who do not believe in being always engaged in action. They can analyze the world. See, what's the origin of the universe? What's the significance behind all this? What enabled that crawling worm to crawl out of the railway track? That analysis cycle, that intellectual inquiry can take him to the final destination. There is an omniscient, omnipresent, immanent reality, which is consciousness, which goes beyond, which is the absolute reality, which is eternal, it's unchanging, and which is beyond, which doesn't recognize any national, geographical, cultural, or any kind of boundaries. Which doesn't recognize either cultural boundaries or geographical boundaries. The fourth yoga which Vivekananda preached is the path of Raja Yoga. And incidentally, I want to make one statement before concluding. Raja Yoga actually is a spiritual practice. And the Hatha Yoga, which we are practicing, is very good for physical body. It enables us, in fact, it gives us a strong, fit body to practice the higher yoga. So a strong, fit body is necessary to sit calmly and meditate and to think of the infinite consciousness. For that we need a body, and we also need the ability to concentrate, to contemplate. For that we need Hatha Yoga. But there is a yoga beyond all this. That is a real Raja Yoga, which enables us to feel the presence of the infinite reality within and the presence of the same reality without. This is, within a very short span of time, I have tried to give just a brief analysis. Thank you. Namaskar.